Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contracts, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Sally Spencer Thomas on the line, and she is a psychologist and president of United Suicide Survivors International. Sally, welcome to the show.
Adam, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
All right, so I'm happy to have you here also. We're going to cover a serious topic today, so national guidelines for workplace suicide prevention. But before we get into that, I'd like to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at United Survivors. Tell us a little bit more about your nonprofit.
Sure. So United Survivors was founded by a number of people that had lived experience with suicide. People like me who are loss survivors. I lost my brother to suicide in 2004. We have other people who have survived their own suicide attempts or have experienced suicidal thoughts or who have loved someone who's experienced suicidal intensity. And our job is to lift up our voices to help change culture and systems so no one dies in isolation and despair. And we do this largely through a storytelling effort, but also looking at systems change like the workplace.
No, that's great, and I'm a big fan of the work you're doing, and I think that's a great transition. So let's just dive into today's topic. So national guidelines for workplace suicide prevention. So it's a big topic. I mean, where do you want to start with this one?
Well, I think there's many families like mine that experienced the suicide loss and kind of dove into it to figure out what could we do to prevent this kind of thing from happening. And in all my training as a mental health professional, there were certain things that were left out. And so I'm pretty sure these things are left out of other people's lives too. And that is that the majority of people who die by suicide have never reached out to a mental health professional, do not see their despair from a mental health framework, and the people who die usually just die on their first attempt. So they're not showing up in our healthcare system, but where are they showing up? They're showing up in the workplace. Most workplaces aren't aware that people every day are experiencing suicidal thoughts and that they have a place to intervene to make a difference. So United Survivors brings the voices of lived experience, but we partner with some other large national organizations, the American Association of Suicidology and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, to give workplaces a roadmap of things they can do upstream to prevent these kinds of despairs from happening, midstream on what to do when the problems are small to help workers get to the supports they need, and then also downstream when there's a crisis of suicide, either an attempt or death. How can they respond with compassion and respect and to really help their workers get back on their feet?
So, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, executives listening to this right now, and some of them are thinking, what can I do? Like they don't know, like you just said, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know if there's people that maybe you may be employing that are having these types of challenges. So there's only so much we can do, obviously, in a 10-minute podcast, 15-minute podcast interview. But what are some like tools or things that employers should be thinking about when it comes to their employees' health?
Yeah, I think especially in this time right now where we've experienced multiple large-scale stressors, I think more and more executives are coming to realize that mental health is really critical for all kinds of things related to their employees' well-being, productivity, engagement, morale, overall health, everything. It's really related to absolutely everything. And there's many things that employers can do. I think sometimes executives think, oh, yeah, I checked that box. We have an employee assistance program, so we're good there. And let me tell you, that's just the beginning, and sometimes that resource is woefully inadequate. So our process, the guidelines really walk employers and professional associations through a process on what are some of the leadership talking points around this, what are some of the cultural pieces, are there things that are driving despair within the workplace system, are there trainings involved that help people identify when people are struggling and how to best have compassionate conversations that link them to supports. Have they vetted their employee assistance program? Do they really know if it's any good? Because most of them, many of them are not. They're inadequate, and they're certainly not prepared for a suicide crisis. So that's what these guidelines do, is really help employers think about how to support their employees, just like they would do other health issues. Many of them often give CPR training or other types of health supports like quitting smoking or weight management. This is along those lines. It's another way to make sure that your employees are showing up with their best selves every day.
Man, that's awesome. I think it's great what you're doing, and I do want to spend some time on. I understand that you're also an author, and that you just released a new book. So, Guts, Grit, and the Grind. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, this has been a certain passion project with lots of men who have experienced various mental health challenges. It's a whole community. We have upwards of 60 storytellers, men from all different walks of life, military, firefighters, lawyers, physicians, and they've all experienced a mental health crisis of one form or another. We have a lot of men sharing their stories of coming through addiction or trauma, marital distress and divorce, parenting challenges, etc. And we love this community because these men are so bold and so brave, and they really help recovery and healing and the power of mental health services come to light. So Guts, Grit, and the Grind is a book series. We just launched our most recent second volume earlier this month, and gutsgritgrind.com is our community home where you can find the book and connect with the community.
That's awesome. So, Sally, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information on what you're doing and also want to pick up a copy of the book, I mean, what's the best way for people to connect with you and your brand overall?
Yeah, so my website is just my name, SallySpencerThomas.com. Again, I'm a professional speaker. I speak mostly in workplaces and professional conferences on the topic of mental health and suicide prevention. I'm in all the social media platforms. My name is fairly unique, so it's easy to find me, Sally Spencer Thomas. But also, if you've been touched by suicide and you want to join our suicide survivors community, UniteSurvivors.org is our website, and again, we're on all the social media platforms, and we'd love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Well, Sally, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great stuff you're doing. And congrats on the new book. I know that's never easy to put out, so definitely want everybody to go out there and grab a copy of that. And just one more time, if everybody was grabbing a pen thinking about how to get, oh, wait, what'd she say, give us that website again and how people can pick up the book.
Sure. So gutsgritgrind.com is a place where you can learn about the book series and connect with all of the community of men storytellers. SallySpencerThomas.com is where you can connect with me and learn more about speaking, training, and consulting in the area of workplace mental health. And UniteSurvivors.org is our nonprofit that is building that community of people who've been touched by suicide. Adam, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Sally, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Adam. Take care. Have a great day.